I don't know your name.
Finn, what's yours?
I'm right.
You might need this.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens is expected to break box office records this weekend, likely surpassing $250 million at the box office. And that's without China, where the film doesn't open until January. So how does success for Star Wars make it harder for filmmakers to get other types of films off the ground? Eli Glasner is here to work that all out for us. How does the success of this latest Star Wars film impact on other kinds of films?
Disney is really looking at Star Wars to help it make its money back. Because a couple years ago, Asha, they spent $2 billion, that's right, billion, to buy the rights to Lucasfilm and Star Wars. So this new movie, Force Awakens, is just the beginning. They are already hard at work on Episode 8 and Episode 9. And then there's the prequels. A prequel about Han Solo, the younger years. A prequel about Boba Fett, maybe set as a Western. And then let me show you an image from a prequel we'll be watching next year, this time in December. It's called Rogue One, and it's actually a movie about the rebels stealing the plans to the Death Star set before what happened in the original 1977, A New Hope. So this is what's happening right now in Hollywood. The name of the game is create your own franchise, create another cinematic world you can bring people back to again and again. For example, let's look at Harry Potter. The books are over, so what do? Again, prequel. They just announced, you may have seen the new teaser trailer to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The latest coming from Warner Brothers. Eddie Redmayne stars in this new movie set before what happens in Harry Potter. And if this works, there will be sequels. Or look at what happens in Transformers. Been very profitable for Paramount, and they are now planning already, believe it or not, Transformers 5, 6, 7, and 8. They have a writer room dreaming up adventures for Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, and all the rest. And oh, by the way, if you're wondering what's happening with the superheroes, Marvel and DC, Disney and Warner Brothers, let me show you this graphic. It's really quite stunning. There are enough superhero films coming to keep us busy until 2020. There we go. Spider-Man 2, Wonder Woman, Fantastic Four, Flash, etc., etc., etc. The future looks incredibly familiar.
What are the types of films, though, at jeopardy of not being made?
What I would call, and what actually Avengers director Joss Whedon called, the middle movie. I had a chance to talk to him a couple years ago, and he said that's what's really the endangered species right now. Hollywood makes two kinds of movies: small, tiny, independent films, and big budget, $200 million blockbusters. But the smart middle movie, made for sophisticated audiences, made on a budget of maybe $40 million with a couple A-list actors who don't come cheap, that's really what's in danger of falling away. So like this year's Oscar frontrunner Spotlight, that's an example of the kind of movie, frankly, Hollywood just doesn't make anymore. You go back a couple months and you look at Our Brand is Crisis with Sandra Bullock. Again, big movie stars, interesting topic, not based on a board game or a toy, just trying to tell us a smart story. And again, something that has an original idea seems to be fading away. We had a chance to talk to Max Landis. He's a screenwriter who's written American Ultra, recently Victor Frankenstein, and he gave us this idea. What would happen today if George Lucas went into a boardroom and said, I have this crazy idea about a space adventure and a boy and his robot? What would someone say? Because it's all about intellectual property. Take a look at what Max Landis had to say.
Somewhere out there's someone in college who has an idea for the next Star Wars, and when they pitch it, they're going to say, what's it based on? And that frustrates me, and I want people to be able to succeed in their own ways and with their own ideas. And that's important to me, and that's as important to me as my own career. I'm a movie viewer. I'm a guy who still pays. Look at me trying to five so many clown noses. I'm a guy who still pays to go to movies, and I'm not ready to just go see Harry Potters for the rest of my life.
So there you go. Yes, he did have clown noses. He was on the red carpet at TIFF for a movie called Mr. Right. has a clown thing going on. But he's a really passionate screenwriter, and some of the movies he writes he's trying to tell original stories. He doesn't want to just write knockoffs, but you saw he even wrote Victor Frankenstein. He's getting sucked into that, let's remake it, let's do a sequel, let's do a prequel. And so I admire the inventive spirit of Star Wars. And when Star Wars came out in 1977, it was revolutionary. We had never seen a sci-fi world that looked like this, that was so optimistic and had such an interesting aesthetic. But now, all that Hollywood wants to make is the same thing again and again. So they're kind of the evil empire these days.
I feel like there's got to be a balance, though, right?
Well,
you gotta
I
have
think
some
you
of
can
that,
have some.
and then the original content and
Well,
films.
but you're seeing less and less of the original. It seems like the only people who get to make the original are people like Chris Nolan. He made 3 Batman movies, so they let him make Interstellar, and then he goes back to making superheroes.
Oh, boy. All right. Thanks, Eli.
No problem.